Welcome to Necology 101, the study of the nerd and geek in the natural habitat. I'm Gary.
And I'm Ron.
All right, today we have another flashback episode. This is one the guys keep referring to, so let's bring it back out because it didn't. Like I explained, episode 15 forward, you can find on YouTube, also on Spotify, but you can't find 14. Everything 1 through 14 is tough, so we brought out episode 1, and we thought, well, let's bring out episode 14. Do you remember what that one was?
Star Trek.
That one was a very comprehensive study.
And my favorite.
Oh, everyone seems to really like that one. It was very. Why did you enjoy? I think it was called the Star Trek Universe, is what it was called.
I connected with Star Trek. And I love Star Wars. Don't get me wrong, but
We love you, Star Wars.
Even though I didn't like a couple of the Star Wars movies, I still watch them. I still enjoy them for what they were. But something about growing up, Star Trek was on. I could be sick, and a Star Trek episode would come on, and I'd feel really good. It gave me great. It made me feel good. So I connected with Star Wars, and I'm not a geek.
Star Trek.
I'm not a sci-fi geek. I'm a music person, but I just for some reason I loved Star Trek. I loved all the things Star Trek.
There you go.
I loved all the incarnations of it.
You know what's funny is that's actually Ron and I did sort of an exchange. He got me into Beatles. I got him Star Trek, so I think that was a good. And I could say the same thing. Beatles, I love their stuff, and I remember when we first actually listened to that. We were painting your house in Moreno Valley, and you cranked out a bunch of stuff, and I had not listened to the Beatles a lot, and it was getting a whole infusion of it one day.
Really?
Remember that day?
Was it the outside of the house?
No, we were painting the inside of your house. It was up in
Moreno
Valley, up in the hill. No, it was a good day. We got to hang out, got to paint, and I got to learn how to appreciate the Beatles.
Wow.
Do you actually remember that day? Because here's what's funny. Ron has like this iron memory for like incredible details. If I actually remember something he did, and that's pretty amazing. Maybe it was important.
Yeah, just kind of bring that out a little bit. I'm curious as to.
It was up in the hills of Moreno Valley. Your little house you had up there was
on
kind
Davis.
Davis Street. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And so I remember coming here painting your house. It was a bluish kind of ish color, but I do remember that you just were cranking out. We were painting all day, so I don't know how many Beatles albums you went through, but I was like, that's a Beatles song. I never heard it. So there you go.
Wow.
So there you go, right back at you. So
it wasn't Beaumont, it was Moval.
I'm pretty sure because I remember going up into, and it was before it was all older houses before all the construction started.
Yeah. We were living up on Davis.
Kind of country-ish. Yeah. So
wow.
It's a little house.
Oh my gosh, I was like 23.
Wow, that's half our life ago.
20,
So,
yeah, no.
Wow.
It was actually
Wow.
22 years old.
Like the corners of my... Oh, that's horrible singing. Sorry, Barbara. Anyways, but yeah, so come back to Star Trek. Sorry, but yeah, so I love that one. It's funny because I think Star Trek came out when I was born, John Pepe. So you guys know I was born March 4th, 1966, not 1946. Not '06, like he likes to say. But anyways, he'll still give me a hard time. But I was born just a couple months, because September 1966 is when Star Trek came out. So I was a little guy when that came out, so I followed all the way through. And that's the ones, I guess that's the series I followed all the way through, and still doing it today.
Yeah. And I was born in 67. The year of Sgt. Pepper and Jimi Hendrix are the experience.
There you go.
And the Summer of Love.
Nice, right. Yeah, we're actually 60s kids, sort of. We're 60, yeah, so there you go. But, I got the tail end of it. But, Star Trek's a lot of fun. And I don't know if you know, but that piece was written, episode 14, Star Trek Universe, because they were considering taking Star Trek in the R-rated direction. I would like to think we have influence, but the fact is they are not making it. As far as I know, both they dropped out, so I don't know what's happening with it. But maybe they're gonna consider keeping Star Trek.
Yeah, see, now I don't have a problem with that as much.
I didn't know where it was gonna go though.
But at the same point, it's Star Trek. There's no need for that.
No.
There's a time, there's a place for certain things, and there's just no place for that. I mean, Star Trek is something you can watch with your kids.
Sure.
And it's always been that way, and something that I can sit down with my son and not worrying about. When he was younger, explaining, this is, or whatever.
Cover your eyes, please.
Just watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah. It's sort of like we were watching a movie about the founder, and it was about Ray Kroc and McDonald's. And one of the things, it was a real interesting movie, too. Because of poor McDonald brothers, all this stuff happened to.
They got,
Anyways, but what happened was on it was...
That was a crock.
he asked, he goes, why didn't you guys franchise? Oh, we tried, but people they started branching off fried chicken, whatever. He found that out. I mean, you do a few things well, and that's the Star Trek model. You do it well. Why branch off and start taking on this or that, whatever?
That's why In-N-Out's not going anywhere.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, In-N-Out, we'd love you as a sponsor. It'd be awesome. Anyway,
I don't eat meat, but when I did, that was a good.
But when I do eat meat, yes. So the thing about it is taking what you do well, and your pattern, and you go with it. That's what it is too. So it works. But we hope you enjoy the Star Trek universe. If you are a newbie to Star Trek, our dad, which is funny, growing up, he did not really care for me, love all this stuff. He's got it now, which is good. He gets the idea. But if you want to learn, exactly. No, yeah.
Hey, Mary. No more, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You know what's funny about that is they were just talking about that. I followed the podcast oh gosh, it's brand new, but it's a Star Trek one, and they were talking about Clint Howard and when he first auditioned, and he was like really young, and the guy turns around, and he says, "Wait, you're Commander Baylock." You knew it was so funny. He's like, "Yeah."
He was such a cute kid. What happened?
I know. Well, he's become his own person, man. It's all good.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, Clint Howard's awesome. Yeah. But the thing about it is, we hope that you enjoy that.
You say the same thing about me, though.
So, if
what happened to me?
Right, what happened? But the thing about it is, if you don't know anything about Star Trek and you want to learn, I hope that is very informative, and we'll get you up to speed with Star Trek, even into the new Star Trek Discovery. And of course, if I could add to that, they have 2 new things coming out on CBS All Access, which sadly right now we have to pay. Hopefully it'll change. They are doing a new series with Patrick Stewart.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and it's sort of the continuations of
I welcome
Next Generation. Yeah, I wonder if he'll be an admiral. Who knows?
I hope so.
And all of them have aged, so who knows? And we have B4, so Brent Spiner's there, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't have Data, but we have his brother.
Oh yeah, I welcome all that.
And anybody could be on there, Janeway, whatever. And they're also doing a Star Trek. I don't know what this will be like, but they're also doing an animated Star Trek. It's a comedy by the guys at Rick and Morty. Who knows? But it's also going to be on there too. So it's called Below Deck or something like that.
They might have to R-rate that one.
I don't know. Who knows? So it's going on. Star Trek was one of those series that almost fizzled out. Well, it did, and they brought it back, and who knows? We'll see what happens. So enjoy episode 14, and we hope you like it. And this is just kind of our tribute to Star Trek. Maybe we'll do more of these. If you like other things out there, let us know. So Ron mentioned Harry Potter, all kinds of things. So we'll definitely get that going. So anything else on that?
No.
That was a long intro, but enjoy episode 14. I'm still Gary.
I'm still Ron.
And class is dismissed.
Whoa.
I agree, Ted, my friend. These students are most excellent.
Wild Stallions!
Good morning, students. Welcome to school. Remember, the thought of the day is...
Blah, blah, blah.
No, blah, blah, blah!
All right, welcome to Necology 101, the study of the nerd and geek in their natural habitat. I'm Gary.
And I'm John.
And I'm Jared.
All right,
And
thanks.
I am Ron.
All right, hey, we got a few more folks coming in today.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rudy couldn't be here for this episode, so
He had to go do
we
some-
got a guest speaker.
Yeah, it's good to have Jared. And of course, Mariana Chair's talking today.
Ron's here with us every day, but Jared did some of the voice acting for us in our bit with Luke. Bitter or Better.
Yeah.
So he played Luke.
Thank you for... We didn't talk about our... Yeah. Well, nice little... Hey, thanks for jumping in experimental stuff. It's always fun,
Good
right?
stuff. I love it.
Yeah. Well, today we're going to...
And we gave him 2.25% of the royalties, just like Alec Guinness in Star Wars. Yes. Which
Maybe-
is 2.2%
Of
of the
nothing.
Guinness is still
Pretty good.
zero, yes.
Nice. I gotcha. That's right. Well, he gets the same paycheck that Ann gets, so
Yes.
we're good. Okay. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. This is a... Are we recording?
I don't know.
Is that on?
We got a recording, yes.
Hold on, we are getting ready to tinker and get into a little bit of YouTube stuff, so we're kind of messing around a little bit with our camera, so we'll see what's up. While he's getting that ready, I'm going to start talking.
Ready, go.
Go. Okay. So one of the things we're going to do, this is kind of a comprehensive school lesson today, folks. All right, we're going to be talking about Star Trek and kind of the history of Star Trek and where it's going. So let's just talk. And are you guys Star Trek fans?
Yes.
Someone. He's more a fantasy guy. That's all good. But Ron, it's funny. Ron and I had an exchange. Or younger. He got me into Beatles. I got him Star Trek.
He did, yeah.
And then Jared, where are you?
I'm behind
You
a little
got
bit,
screwed
but
on that deal, Ron.
Let's. I'm just going to kind of go through the history of the show. Jump in where you feel like you're comfortable with, right? But again, Star Trek started because of Gene Roddenberry. Gene Roddenberry wanted to show how a diverse group of people could be united. And you notice the cast was everybody, right?
And I loved the Captain Kirk ones.
Oh
so.
yeah, that's great.
And I love the new ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
Not
We got-
TV show, but the movies.
Yeah,
so.
there's a lot here. They crossed over. They did both, right? So one of the things is they tackled tough issues that plague mankind. They did politics and social issues, racism, religion, right? Faith, family, friendship. That was back in 1966.
And a lot of love.
A lot of
with
love.
Captain Kirk.
Oh yes.
Lots of
I think
that.
that's where the Beatles and the Star Trek crossed
And
over.
who was the person that pushed Star Trek? To
Oh,
be
that's a
on
good.
TV?
There's our
Yes.
trivia. We've been forgetting our trivia.
We forgot.
Okay,
trivia.
who is the? Do you guys know it? Give you a hint. Think
Okay,
of
so it was-
Desilu Production.
Are you serious?
So which one are the two? Lucy or Ricky?
I'm guessing Ricky.
It's not Ricky.
Then it's Lucy?
Lucy was the one.
She
you
is
want
not
to tell
even-
her on? You remember?
No, Lucy was the one that actually pushed. She really liked the whole idea, and she pushed for it to go through. And she was the one responsible.
Let me explain something.
Because she was not
it
the
on the
brains behind Desilu.
Desi
Desi was the
yeah.
brains behind all
they
that.
both were-
He's the one he was the first person to get royalties. He said, we need to get royalties. We don't want to get a flat paycheck. We want to
Right.
get
He
royalties.
was one cool dude. That's for sure.
Yeah, he knew he was doing. So the thing about it is, again, that got the start going. Sometimes you just need, that one person believes in you. So in 1966, right? I pretty much Star Trek. I was 5 months old when
Yeah,
it
you
came
were.
out.
That's when you were born.
That's right. So the original series again had different nationalities. We got introduced to the Federation, who they were. We learned about warp travel, and many of the modern inventions came because of Star Trek. Think of the communicator, became the cell phone, right? Oh yeah, that's awesome. And so, and it's amazing that a lot of things that came from. Well, I could talk about transporters. They talk about they mess with that too. Exactly. So 1966 started the series. In 1973-74, class, what came next? It was for a very short run for 2 years.
What?
The Star Trek animated series.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, you knew that? I wouldn't know that.
One of the
Dave's
things
original voices.
they elaborated on, that's right, they elaborated on the original TV, but they did things that the TV show couldn't do, more special effects, able to do things that they wouldn't be able to show on TV. So not Captain Kirk stuff because they got away with stuff, but I'm saying is, special effects, creatures, because, even with the original Star Trek, the sets
Yeah, you
were
could do all kinds of crazy things with animation.
Yeah. So it opened the door. All right. What happened in 1979? What came out?
Jared, do you know?
Anyone?
I don't.
Class? Bueller?
This is just before Next Generation.
Star Trek, the motion picture.
The motion picture.
That's the first one?
1979.
I did not like that one.
Which one was
Was
that
not your
one?
favorite,
I
huh?
did Vija.
Oh, that's right.
With the Delton or whatever her name was.
Right. Yeah, and now, so the theme of Star
I
Trek...
like The Wrath of Khan.
Oh, we're getting there. Don't rush ahead. Star Trek, the motion picture, the search for meaning and purpose. Would you agree that was the theme?
I don't know.
It was more of a cerebral movie, focused more on the special effects. It was considered one of the worst movies.
And Ron, you nailed that
I
one.
just did. You know what? I don't
Not
sit and
erasing.
try to dissect or I'm not a purist. I like a movie, I watch it, and I like it.
Right.
And it just, that's it. And I just didn't care for that one. I didn't feel it,
Most
It
people
just-
didn't.
No.
Right. It sort of lost its
It was
heart
too
and soul.
sterile, I guess.
That's what everybody says. It's kind of lost its heart and soul and character at the end, and almost like it was following Spock, because Spock had almost lost his humanity, but he got it back at the end.
He did?
Yeah. So, interesting little side note.
Did you know that Spock's only half human?
That's right. Well, he's getting rid of his other half, so he want to be pure logic, right? And so there's a learning there too. One of the people thinks that if you know anything about Star Trek and the Borg, that was the beginning of the Borg.
What?
Very interesting, yeah.
In 79 was the beginning
Well,
of the Borg?
they when they track it back with the history of Star Trek, they kind of say, well,
Because
that's
The
not-
Next Generation, that was their best movie, was the Borg movie. That was a freaking
First
awesome
Contact,
movie. I
yeah.
have friends First Contact, who hated Star Trek, and we went and watched that. They're like, man, this is freaking awesome.
right.
You know, one of the... Okay.
Go ahead.
No. Finish
No,
up your
Ron.
app because we're going to move on.
The
here.
TV series I connected was the Enterprise.
Oh, did you?
You can't hear me? Or...
No,
can
I
hear
think
you.
I'm having to get closer because my mic's kind of funky, but that's okay.
No, Gary just likes to talk to
Right, we're good. There you go. Okay, so 1982, people. John, what'd you say your favorite movie was?
82?
Yep,
My favorite movie?
you just said it.
I did. Oh, Wrath of Khan. Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan. That's right, 1982. So
Plane, Basti, plane.
Didn't
Didn't like, what's his name? Ricardo Montalban?
Ricardo Montalban.
Was he in
That's
that?
right. Yes, he was.
Listen, Kirk.
So,
I am not going to play with you.
would you agree?
You better give me the Enterprise, or you're not coming to
Bus!
Fantasy Island.
Well, it dealt a lot with pain. Would you agree? Aging, maybe loss, regret, second chances, right? Captain Kirk, his past came back to get him.
Revenge.
Brought back some of the original characters, right?
Revenge.
And we definitely got upgrade technology, and it set up a trilogy.
What was the trilogy?
Well, there was a trilogy inside there because in some ways people thought that first Star Trek could have been, and Star Trek Wrath of Khan was how they wanted it.
That was awesome.
But think about it.
As a kid.
What happened in Wrath of Khan?
I don't remember.
What was the big thing?
Ricardo Montalban.
Spock sacrificed his life for the crew. That's right. And we also had the Genesis
But
project,
he was only half human, so it didn't matter.
anyways, but it's set up because the next three movies all were set it up, and then the consequences, and then the
Yeah, but
aftermath.
where was the whale watching movie?
That's
one was
coming
pretty
in.
dumb too.
We're
wasn't
getting
it?
there.
That was
I didn't even go see that.
reaching because
So-
it's like, okay, now we have time travel. So why didn't you guys use that before?
They did the series. They
See,
did do
there's
travel.
time travel.
That's it. Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, came out in 1984. That's interesting. When I graduated from high school. Okay,
When?
people. 1984.
I thought you graduated in like 68 or something like that.
Anyway. All right. So it dealt with life, death, and resurrection. Interesting, right? A lot with family, loyalty, when to break the rules.
Oh, yes.
Kirk lost a lot about, learned about his entire life and losing it. He lost his son and his ship.
He had a son?
He did have a son. That's right.
Oh,
And
I
he
didn't know that.
and the value of friendship. Well,
Was
one
he
of
half green?
No,
or
he's the
something like
blonde-haired guy from Square Peg.
his mother was Dr. Carol Marcus, and so that was the one relationship that he had that could have been because Captain
I
Kirk had
think-
a lot of surface
Well,
relationships.
excuse me. I think Kirk has a lot of children out there in the universe. Okay.
Is that like Ego, the Living Planet?
I think him and Gene Simmons got some,
I think,
parallel
yeah,
things.
Wow.
I agree.
But the thing about it, one of the most touching scenes was, and we all know how Captain Kirk loved the Enterprise. That was his love, really. And to watch that scene of the Enterprise dying still gets me.
Jared, can you do a make-out scene with Kirk and the Enterprise? Go ahead.
Right, nice.
Oh my God, you are so amazing.
Okay, and then
my.
Oh, I don't have a date for this, but Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home, which you said the whales, right? I don't have a date on this one, but it's right. Which some liked, some didn't. A lot more comedy.
Did you like that one? Yeah, that means no.
Okay.
I really wanted to like it.
But you just couldn't.
There were some really cool elements in the movie.
Right.
I just felt like they were reaching.
I
I liked it better than the first. Like the I didn't.
Star Trek Motion
hate-
Picture.
I didn't hate it, but there were some interesting
Sure.
things. My favorite part is when Scotty and
Oh, yeah.
McCoy went to the plastic thing.
He was
That
gonna-
pretty cool.
He's going to invent it anyways.
I never saw that.
Oh,
And he's like, he picks up the mouse. He's all computer.
Yeah, and
Oh,
then
you have to use your hands. How quaint.
they needed to. Oh, that movie talking about time travel.
Yeah,
that's
they
when
had to
they
go back in time,
They
didn't they?
purposely were just whatever. Okay, what was the scene? That same scene right there. They needed to come up with transparent aluminum, and it doesn't exist. So he's like doo-doo-doo with the formula. The
So
guy
it's
goes,
kind of like
"Wow."
Zoolander when they couldn't figure out the computer.
Yeah, and the guy says, "Well, maybe this is the." And then
He's
Sky,
like, how much is this worth for you, Sonny?
yeah, he told the guy. He said, about isn't this element of time travel? How do we know he didn't invent it? Oh yeah, they kind of just let it roll, man. It's like
Given her all she's got, Captain. No dilithium crystals left.
right. So the thing about it was it dealt. Now this was one that Leonard Nimoy directed, and he was environmental, so saving the whales and how. So there's a lot of timing with saving the whales to save the earth, right? And we're because what happened was we'd kill off the whales, and because the whales are gone, it affected the earth. So they had to go back and
Well,
face
isn't that-
decisions.
There
for-
was a good message there.
There was a good message.
There was no question
Don't
about
kill the
that.
whales.
Yeah, there was.
That's right. Because it could affect
No, I
the
think
future.
save the environment was the which
Yeah.
is we're
yeah,
we're
and
killing
there's
it now,
consequences
so-
for stuff too. Exactly.
Yes, we're reaping those consequences.
Exactly.
I mean, we got Khan, and then it's like, how do you do? That was a perfect movie.
Yeah, back then
Wrath-Con, that was
Wrath of
done
Khan
real well.
was awesome.
Yeah, and they based it off that too. And I apologize because I just lost the dates on this, but I'm sure someone. But then the Final Frontier came out. Now that one was directed by William Shatner. That one, a lot of people didn't like it, but it had a little more humor in it, which he loved the humor part.
Yes,
That's what my
he's-
dog just said too.
He was Boston Legal. Dude, that dude is funny.
Oh, he
And I've
is.
seen him on episodes of Psych, just a crack up.
Right,
dude.
exactly.
He's a dude I'd want to hang out.
He's the
with.
Priceline negotiator.
He is.
I mean,
Well, he wanted just not to be known just as Captain Kirk. He wanted something different, right?
No, he's great.
Oh, it's great. And then James Spader just doing his whole imitation of him. So awesome.
And his pause acting.
Yes.
You know, he was a
Shakespearean actor.
Yeah,
So
Shakespearean
was
actor.
So was Picard.
Yes.
Yeah. So was exactly. In Final Frontier, the concept, does God exist? How religious people can give you false impressions. So one of the reasons he did it was because he was talking about, he was fascinated by evangelists and how they can convince people to
Believe
do
in
what they
that.
believe in. And that was whole, Spock's brother was like that, right? And how people interpret God. So it's interesting that Star Trek has always dealt with religion and faith in a good way.
Believe in Jesus
That's right.
because he can save your soul.
Well, they did have in the original Star Trek. They had a group of they went to an Earth that was like Earth, but it was the Roman Roman world, and they were killing off these people who were gladiators.
So they were kind of looking at
Yeah,
it
and they
like
said something about they were
biblical-
sun worshippers, and Spock pointed out, he goes, "Well, they didn't worship the sun; it was the Son of God." So they did some really good things that especially in the '60s with things changing too, right?
Yeah, but what was that the 60s? Or you're talking about
The
television?
original one.
Now you're going back.
Well, I'm
You
just saying is
confused
they had
me.
always had it, but this one really focused more on just God.
Okay.
What was going on. And talking about restoring faith in relationships. And what I love about this was the concept of family. We all know what family is, right? Friends become family.
yeah.
And they really showed the bond between Kirk, Spock, and
Kith and
McCoy.
kin.
Yeah, and what family, because
I
they
talked
didn't
about
have
that in
anybody.
the Kith and Kin
That was their
blog,
family,
yes, from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Beautiful thing. What a family is not always blood.
No,
It's deeper.
That's what I said.
So we really saw the relationship between Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, and singing "Row, row, row your boat," and the logic and the not logic behind it. Right there, you go. Go camp with your buddies. 1986, we had one of Ron's favorite. We always
I
talk
love
about
this one.
What is it?
Undiscovered Country.
Undiscovered Country.
What's that?
Right.
I just connected with this movie. I really liked it.
The Undiscovered
Was
Country.
that like Big Country?
That was the
Ron, give us the concept behind the Undiscovered in 2 sentences or less.
Okay, so what happened was there was the Klingon
The enemies of the Federation.
high commander was killed. It was.
But what happened to Klingon the world? Remember what happened to them?
Oh yeah, they overmined their planet and it blew up.
Gary really is the
And,
professor here, isn't
yeah. So they overmined it. So Kirk and McCoy were blamed. They were trying to save their life. They were blamed for killing.
Damn it, Jim! I'm just a doctor.
So yeah. So anyways, they end up getting imprisoned and
Wrongfully in prison.
wrongfully in prison. They escaped, and they had Spock and the crew had to prove the innocent. It's
a lot of detective work. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, they found out who
Really did it.
It was
they
a
found
whodunit.
out
It was
who
a
did
whodunit,
Yeah,
yeah.
basically, it was a coup. It was a whole bunch of people from the Moraman, everybody.
Oh,
because of
all
change.
sides.
Yes, it was this whole thing with they didn't want change. Even the Klingons were in on it. So everybody was trying
And the
to
Federation.
Yeah,
Wow.
So different people, they all didn't like the change.
Romulan.
But it's life. Things happen.
Yeah.
Good. A+, Ron. Good job. That's my notes are. Good job.
Excellent,
You had
Ron.
prompted. You gave him an A plus, and
put
you
this on your
prompted him?
board. Nice.
Hey, I don't got a golden star and you didn't. You're just jealous.
B plus best. Okay, because you had to prompt him.
And the Undiscovered Country came from because the
What
actual,
does Jared get? I want to know what grades we're getting right now.
I'm good. F is fine.
He's
With me.
he's
like,
auditing
wow.
the class right now.
I
He's
don't even care, dude.
Anyways, the Undiscovered Country came from a Shakespearean theme, and they really the Klingon actually they showed too a lot about understanding your enemy and their culture, and that overcoming prejudice. And the thing is, there's Klingons who really had it together, and they weren't all animals. So it's learning about the enemy. It was really good, really, really, really well
Yeah,
done.
Kirk had so much hate, but in the end, when it came down to it critically making this huge change, he's like, no,
So it
This
was
is a
about
wrong
Everybody was
racism.
scared.
It was racism
yeah,
too.
and he
Okay.
was guilty of feeling that way. Everybody was.
Oh, they all were. Yeah, both sides. But then they learned to come together, and actually, if you watch, we're getting ready. The Next Generation. So this was kind of going back, and again, the Next Generation came out where
Yes.
the Klingons now were part of the Federation.
Yeah,
so
he's
they're
like
kind of
a
going back and explaining. Well, this is how it started.
He's a lieutenant on the Enterprise.
And
right?
we got to see Sulu as captain.
Oh, he rocked too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he got the Excelsior. Yeah. Well, life moves on. They're not going to be in the Enterprise.
I
eventually.
wanted to see him roll up and go,
ridiculous.
oh my.
That's right. That's a beautiful ship.
I love-
Because that's a big ship, not as big as a captain.
Yeah, Sulu was always, I loved Sulu.
He's
Just
under-
because of the whole karate thing and stuff.
Yeah.
Karate
You know.
thing. When did he do karate?
You never saw the original. He
Well,
was
he's also he does fencing.
fencing, but in the original Star Trek, Sulu, the same Sulu, he was martial arts.
When
guy.
did he do that? I don't
Oh,
remember
he's-
that in any
I
of the
couldn't
episodes.
tell you the actual episode.
Because
but
I
it's-
remember, like,
I'm not that good.
I remember,
We
like,
could research it.
Yeah, don't you remember? He's all "Oh," like Bruce Lee.
oh, I remember William Shatner doing that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if he could keep his shirt on, right? That's the
Yes,
whole thing,
when he's
too.
fighting. You
Have you
know.
watched Galaxy Quest? Okay, I could have thrown that in there, too.
Awesome. Galaxy Quest
Your
is
shirt's off
awesome.
again. Whatever. So there you
Yeah,
go.
that's a great
19...
movie.
Okay, so, and then we have
What?
1987 to 1994, Star Trek Next Generation. Now,
Yeah, my
one of
buddy
the...
loved that series.
Yeah, and if you talk to Weird Al, it's like, the only question I thought was hard, do I like Kirk or like Picard? It's hard, you know? The whole thing is, they brought a lot of new elements, an older captain with experience, more... Now, Captain Kirk, if you think about it, didn't really
What
follow
is his
the rules.
real name?
John... Oh, it's Patrick Stewart,
Yes.
and I met him.
Do you know what movie he was in before?
Excalibur.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, he's done a lot of great stuff. Shakespearean actor, and actually, when I was going to college in CBU, he before Star Trek came out, he came and talked to our school as a Shakespearean actor. It was right after that we're going, Patrick Picard. What? Star
Who
Trek?
else was in that with him? Do you know?
I have a particular set of skills. A set of skills that make me a nightmare for people like
No
you.
way, Liam.
Yes, Liam
he
Neeson was in
Must have been younger.
Yes,
Wow.
very
Wow.
much
He was
younger.
older.
Wow.
He was older then.
Yes.
So one of the things about that Star Trek brought in was it was more of a, you could say like it'd been more advanced, but cleaner, more family friendly because they had families on the ship, bigger ship. One of the things is that it got criticized because it was so not sterile, but more like clean cut, whatever. And they brought in the Borg, and just the universe became dangerous. And the thing is, and the Q, right, which was a godlike creature. So they brought in some really establishing characters and creatures, very memorable, which was good because that series needed it. And then one of the things we begin to learn, and then
Like
Data.
Geordi and Data.
Yeah, Data brought in a whole lot of issues of, an android and having rights. And so they brought a lot of really
We see
issues.
the Klingon as members of
Klingon, and we
Yes.
learned their culture.
And then who was the lieutenant? No, there was the other one.
the one that reads the minds.
No, with the beard. He was a human.
Oh, that's Riker.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
Riker.
Riker's
And he's the everyday guy.
And then
which
there
is-
was
he
that
was
hot
a-
chick.
he-
I
yeah.
forget her name.
Yeah,
Oh, there's a lot
and
of
he
them,
was always
but-
getting down with all the chicks because he became the new.
he became the Captain
Captain
Kirk.
Kirk.
Yeah, they flipped it. So so he wasn't Spock, right?
Yes.
Captain Kirk. But then Picard got to do some. He
Wasn't a playa.
But he did get to
He
do
was
some.
not a player.
I know.
He was
had his
William
moments.
Shatner.
No, he wasn't. One of the things we learned was that the galaxy had 4 quadrants, and we now know the Alpha Quadrant and the Beta Quadrant. So that's what the captain. So now we're going to explain that because we're going to learn that there's 4 parts of it, and they started investigating different parts of the universe. Kind of cool. So in 1993, 1998, I think one of the best series was called Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
And wasn't that the guy who played in...
Avery Brooks, also a Shakespearean actor, African American character.
No,
Great
that's not the
guy.
one.
I saw maybe about
Very
3 or 4
human.
episodes of that, and I really liked it. I just never.
Great show.
It wasn't until the next.
Now, how this is different is that instead of moving around, they had one place. There was a planet called Bajor, and they had a space station that got abandoned, and they took it back over and turned it into a Federation space station. And it was very alien. So it was living in an alien world with the Federation, and it was supposed to be a grittier show.
Was that the one? No, that wasn't with the female captain, right?
Oh, that's coming. No, that's different.
What about the one with the guy who used to do the time travel?
That's another captain.
Oh, from Quantum Leap.
Yes, I loved Quantum
Yeah,
Leap.
that's coming.
Yeah, that's
Scott.
a great.
I used to watch Quantum
Bakula.
Scott Bakula. I used to watch Quantum
Yes.
Leap, and then I'd watch Highlander after it.
We're
at
getting that
3
one.
in the morning.
Yeah. So one of the things about this show was you get more of the cultural depth. You learn more about cultures. Now, one of the things that's great about this, and Ron appreciates this, World War II. One of the things they took was they based a lot of the characters off characters from World War II.
So did Star Wars.
I know. So the thing about it is we had even the Jews and the Germans. So what happened was they had they talked about the elements of war.
They had juice inside. Are you sure, Gary?
That's
Are
right.
you making this up? I think you are making this up.
Anyways, what's great is they had elements of the story of war, choices and consequences. They showed our characters with flaws, and there's even an episode when the captain had to make some choices that weren't ethical, and at the end he erased the episode, so no one had ever seen it.
Oh yeah, that's
So it has some deep,
what you do.
good stuff. Really good, really very deep and depth. If you like something with depth and real like
What
layered
happens
characters.
in the beta quadrant stays in the beta
But
quadrant.
then let me just say this one, and now I'm glad you mentioned that because now we learned about the gamma quadrant. And what happened was because
So basically, they take in what's the book that I'm trying to think of?
Or
Brave
Greek
New
letter.
World with the alphas and the betas and,
And
the
the
deltas
gammas.
and the gammas. Yeah.
yes, the gamma quadrant basically this space station, because it became so popular, there was a wormhole that would jump into the worm. So now that became it became a hot spot for, and they brought war from the other side of the galaxy. So it's kind of like a really intense. It was a good show, and that's
That
where
was
the war
Deep
started.
Space Nine, right?
Yeah, and some of the best space battles. Holy cow, good stuff. You get to see starships getting thrashed.
Okay.
And that's actually had the captain going, well, let me just.
Okay.
You know about Captain Picard and what happened to him?
No, what happened to him?
The Borg. The Borg.
AIDS. It was. I'm sorry.
Yes, the Borg
Borg-
got him and he got
The
AIDS.
Borg are like these cyborg
Stop
creatures.
doing that with the Borg.
And
And
they-
AIDS from them.
It happens.
They basically inject you with nanonites, and you take them.
Yeah, because he
They're like
did
vampires.
Because they did that
Yeah,
on
to
the
him.
television series.
Yes.
and then that also happened, or no, in the movie. Then when in the movie
Yes.
he was
Replaying
going
that.
back there in his
Yeah. So what happened is the beginning of Deep Space Nine. What happened was Captain Picard got turned into
Is that why? Because of Deep Space Nine,
Yep.
he got the hit.
Real deep.
He got the hit.
deep.
he what happened was he got turned to Borg. He was against the Federation. There was a battle where they like annihilated a lot of the Federation. Well, Deep Space Nine, they go back to that, and Captain hold on from Deep Space
It
Nine.
didn't sound like pew. pew.
Captain Sisko's wife,
Who?
the captain from Deep Space Nine. Don't get confused.
Okay, I know. Yeah.
His story opens with the attack from Picard, so he has issues with Picard because he killed his wife because he was part of the Borg.
Oh.
So it's interesting. That's how they jumped into Deep Space Nine. So
So they
yeah.
they sort of connected everything.
Oh, it's all connected. They connect all the Star Trek movies. They're all connected.
Smart.
In fact, if I can say this, at one point there was always two Star Trek shows going at the same time. One would start, they start halfway through, and they kept the cycle going for a long time. They had two Star Trek shows for a long time. It's amazing. And so now, during this time, Star Trek Generations came out. 1994. Yep. This is where they bridged the Kirk generation and the Star Trek generation, and they had them meet. And there was a thing called the Nexus where no time existed, and they actually met each other.
The
in the
MEET or the MEAT?
The Lexus?
No, the meat.
MEET.
Is this with Will?
Where they
Wheaton?
had the meat.
Was Will?
Well,
Wheaton
Wheaton
in
was
this
always in this one. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
always in the show.
And
He was in
Malcolm-
Next Generations. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Malcolm McDowell reprises
Oh,
his
Malcolm.
role from Clockwork Orange.
Right. So one of the things is they
Is Malcolm
adapted.
in the middle?
Yeah.
Okay.
They made Generations made their first
Malcolm McDowell.
step into film. So this is where our generations from Star Trek made their first movie. So and then it's a passing the torch because Captain Kirk dies in this one. He was what happened was in this movie was that it started with Captain Kirk and he was on board the new Enterprise B because now we know there's in Generations we are now to Enterprise D. So and Captain Kirk was Enterprise A.
Yeah.
So what happened was Enterprise B was about to be inaugurated. Captain Kirk was not a captain. He was retired.
he was
He and
an
Scott were retired. So what happened was
He
there
was an admiral and then became a captain again, right?
he got demoted.
Yeah.
And so he's retired now and he's regretting his past and should he be a captain. Well, the ship got attacked and they all thought Captain Kirk died. What happened was he got sucked into this nexus. He didn't really die. Time didn't exist. And Captain Picard got there and they ended up meeting so you get the two captains actually.
Wait a second. So you're saying Kirk
And
gave
Picard.
Picard the HIV?
Okay, gentlemen, keep it a
Full
family
blown,
show,
Full
people.
blown.
Uh-oh.
All right. Anyway, so what happened is this
We
is
know
where
Kirk was a playa.
we know, and in this one we actually see the death of Captain Kirk, which is a very sad moment. And Captain Picard got, and one of the things that Kirk always said was, "I know I'm going to die alone without my friends." So that was kind of a theme is from the last few movies. So the fact is, he didn't die alone. There was someone there to honor him. It's kind of cool, Captain Picard, and he passed. on
Spoiler alert.
Yes.
Hello.
If you have not watched the show, that's 1984. Too soon.
Jeez, man, it's way too soon.
Now in 1995, we had Voyager.
Great.
Voyager.
That's the
Female captain.
Yes.
So whole different ship, whole different
ship,
sequence.
different.
And the idea was this: that Voyager got thrown far. They got thrown to what we call the Delta Quadrant, and at high speed, it would take them 7 years to get home. So it's a
That's
whole
it.
journey.
That's nothing.
That's nothing. So the whole journey is try to get home before you die. And
Before you die, you got 7 years to live. You
and
gotta get home before
with
that.
Star Trek is always find new worlds, and this one was finding home. So it's kind of cool. And as a side
I'm
note,
sure they're running into things as they're trying to get home, which are keeping them from getting to there.
yes, and so all kinds of things happen to get, and they eventually get home. A lot of things happen. We find out where the Borg came from.
Where do they come from?
They came from this quadrant, and this
The
is where
D
they came from.
quadrant? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so you find out a lot of history. Actually, in Deep Space Nine, we do get we find out a lot of different cultures. We also find out that a breach has been made by the Borg into a alternate universe. It's totally different, called the fluidic space, and we have a creature who can kick the Borg's butt. So they finally found their nemesis, and a lot of things. And because of that, we brought in a character named Seven of Nine. Used to be a Borg, becoming human now. So there's a lot of, and we also have a doctor.
Was that the girl?
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, Jerry Ryan.
Jerry
and the thing
Ryan,
is,
yes, definitely.
It should begin to show you that Borg, they could come back from the dead pretty much. It's kind of cool. So again, they worked that whole Borg thing where,
and then they worked it into the movie. I remember.
Oh yeah, exactly. And
With
we
Picard.
we learned a lot about human rights by the doctor. We had a holographic doctor. And one of the things in that is that they have a holographic doctor that when the doctor dies, he takes over for a short amount of time. Well, they don't have a doctor. He developed and became his own person. So there's a lot of issues with what's a real human, character, whatever. And then the doctor learned he was very caustic and very, but he learned about personality and all the issues. And then funny, he ended up mentoring Seven, who is a human who lost her humanity. So kind of a lot of cool things in there.
She's a human who lost her humanity?
Because she was a Borg. And the Borg strip you of all your humanity. You become a machine. You service the Borg. Yes. Yeah, and it's a lot of good elements of, machine society losing your humanity.
But Picard got his humanity back.
He did. And so, yeah, exactly. But, it's interesting in the movie, he did say that the whole thing they turned against them became a way to defeat them.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Cool. It's like turn your pain and your exactly. Skylar just said yes. Mm-hmm. Turn your pain and issues into opportunities. And that's great life lesson right there too. Yeah.
Know thy enemy.
That's it. Know thy enemy. 1996, First Contact came out, which is the one about
an awesome movie.
When we begin to look at the Borg, and this is the Generations. So they're all standalone movie. And they went back in time to when the Federation first started. Again, we're jumping around. We can fill in some of those gaps, right? The worst enemy Borg came to destroy the humans before they had the first contact to meet the Vulcans, and that started the Federation.
Oh, okay.
So they wanted to stop this, the time travel, whatever, and
they went back before Kirk, even.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and here's the thing about the Star Trek universe. One of the things they do, they have this incredible timeline, and there's all these things that we allude to, and then they can open up and say, well, let's make a story about that. Mm-hmm. And they've done a real good job with that too. One of the things is this is the scene where we find out that Captain Kirk took his painful issues from the past, building for strength for the present. And a crutch that could have destroyed him became something where it actually defeated the Borg. And
you mean Picard?
Picard,
yeah.
And he actually was willing to sacrifice his life for the ship. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, they always have Picard and Data.
But isn't that true of all ship captains? Aren't they supposed to go down with their ship?
Good ones are.
Yes,
good ones are. Yeah. But he takes that step earlier because he one of the things is the Borg Queen. We found out there's a queen. She wanted someone that was really willing to give their life willingly. The Borg usually take your life.
Yeah.
And he was willing to sacrifice, and she said, we don't see that very much, but you'll make an excellent drone. Mm-hmm. So they,
And so they're sort of like bees, but killer bees.
Yeah, and she's the mind behind them, an evil mind that is. And the one thing is, they always take Captain...
That's always a perspective, isn't it?
What's that? An evil mind.
What evil is, yeah.
It's a whole different type of
evil is evil done.
Yeah. But one of the things now Data's life is always mimicking what a human is, and he's a reflector a lot of times of Captain Picard, who has it together as a human, who fights his, you could say his logical cold side, and Data's the opposite. He's got the image of being a robot, but what is to be human? Where Spock shunned it, he embraced it,
He wants to be human. Wasn't there a point where he...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of things. And so...
He started, didn't he have a,
emotional, they get the motion chip.
What's up, baby?
Yeah.
If you get that right,
Yeah, the good and the bad behind it, too. Oh, that's... Wait a minute, was that in first... Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. It is in this one, yeah.
Told you.
Exactly.
Baby.
Well, actually, no, I think that... Anyways, yeah.
No, I think it was in the series,
It was in a series, and then it watched that, too. In 1998... Star Trek Insurrection came out. This brought up issues of technology making people less than human. Wait, how's your time? You okay? Okay.
I'm at 16%.
Okay. Oh, that's not much Jared's time.
Yeah,
There's
he doesn't care about your
an
percentage.
insurrection. Now, Captain Picard has always been a rule follower and followed the Federation. He's gone through a lot of stuff. But this is one time when the government did the wrong thing, and he rebelled against them.
There you go. Not
And there is a time for
not
that.
blind loyalty.
No.
Yes.
And people can learn from their past mistakes. So it really brought up a lot of things because in this movie, there's a group of people who, one of the things about the Federation is that they don't come in and take over your culture. That's called their prime directive. And in this one, they felt they were breaking it. And we found out that this culture knew about technology, but they said technology takes away from being human. We choose not to use it.
Cell phones.
Yeah, and there's a lot with it. It does. It tells you, manage your technology. And, or some people totally shun it. But the thing is, somewhere there's a good balance because you know what?
You have to find that balance. That's
You
what
do.
life is about. That's what
Exactly.
Socrates talked about.
Yep. Now at
Socrates.
this point, it's not there yet. But the in the whole scheme of things, Star Trek has been a show that's been hard to kill, and it's come back a few times. But it actually did. We're about to come that. It's going to come to an end here real soon. So
What do you mean
things are
an
changing.
end?
Well, because Paramount, a lot of things were changing, and that the money wasn't there anymore, and they felt that the popularity was waning. So they begin to start cutting back. And now we only had one Star Trek show called Enterprise that came out in 2001, 2005.
Scott Bakula.
And this was set how many years before Captain Kirk? 100 years for Captain Kirk.
100 years.
This is sort of like if you now that we have some history, the First Contact movie, this took place right after that. So now we know about First Contact. They went back to the time of Zefram Cochrane. This was 65 years after there was a nuclear war and they're rebuilding. And so right after that, they had First Contact with the Vulcans, started the Federation. Well,
First Contact, I thought that was the Borg movie.
yeah, but that's exactly what we're talking about. Okay. They went back to right before they did the first warp jump, and the Vulcans had seen that Earth was ready to make first contact. Oh. So there's 100 years after that happened. There's 100 years of the Vulcans kind of keeping humans from spreading. And this show,
Like a disease.
this show is basically they're saying we're ready, and the first starship came out. So they brought up the issues of technology making people. Oh, no, sorry, wrong one. They kind of got back to the roots of what it was to start the Federation, struggles to develop a foundation from a chaotic past. So they were kind of ready to start. They didn't have a lot of the things. They didn't have the tractor beams. They didn't have the transporters. So a lot of you're seeing it develop.
They like
as it
grappling
shows.
hooks and things.
They had grappling hooks. So
Really?
You gotta go. You gotta rock. Okay. Jared, thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you.
He needs to warp out here, so we're going to transport him out. Thanks for the sound effect, Ron. And we might add that in there. Sir, hey, it was good seeing you.
yeah.
Please talk to us soon.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's going to roll, and we're gonna keep things going. So
Thanks, Jared. Nice to meet
thanks.
you.
So thank you, sir. Okay, this is very organic. We're gonna move it. Thank you, man. Love you. See ya.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Yep.
We are 15%.
So- This was we can do it. Go right to the end. Okay. So what happened was, John, you're still with me, right?
Yeah, I'm still
Okay,
here.
good. We did literally transport him out of here. We told you the technology's catching up. Anyways, this was the last TV show, and this pretty much the next movie, Star Trek Nemesis 10, was 2002. This was interesting concept, okay, because Captain Picard, they'd made a clone of him.
Oh, wow.
And what happened was this clone was put under totally different circumstances. He grew up different. He was meant to be, now here's what's funny. Captain Picard did not have much hair. At one point, they had taken one of his hair follicles and had gotten his DNA and created this clone. And the idea was,
Where'd they get the hair follicle?
I know, he didn't have much hair. So don't even go there. Anyways, what happened was they took his clone and he was sped up, right? He was supposed to eventually kill off Picard and become a spy for the Romulans.
Oh, wow.
So so he was raised by Romulans, but even worse. And if you know Romulans the Romulans are
The
sort of
Romulans are probably even worse than the
Klingons,
right? 'Cause
but they were always at war with us. Yeah, but they're an offshoot
With us?
with everybody. Yeah, so they basically are an offshoot.
You know
of the-
this is a fantasy thing, right?
Fantasy. Yeah. So now, as the Vulcans they took their logic. Well, a group, the Romulans brought off, and they didn't do it, and they got their motion. So they're like the offshoot of the Vulcans, but they embrace motion. Now, in the Romulans, they have an offshoot, and and I cannot think of the name of the group here, but okay, it's interesting. If you know where they got the Romulans from, was from, and I want to get this right, Greek or Roman culture, Romulus and Remus.
Yes.
Okay. Well, they have the Romulans and the Remans.
Oh, okay.
So the Remans are the ones that are on the dark side of Romulus. They work in the mines, and they're the oppressed race. So what happened was they sent. His name was, oh my gosh, I'm going to embarrass myself.
You are.
Sinjon. I think his name is Sinjon. That's the clone of Picard.
Look like Tom.
It's kind of a mix of, he was Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy played that character.
Tom Hardy?
Tom Hardy.
Brain.
Yes.
Really? When was
Yes.
this?
Oh, yeah.
No.
This is, he did a good job. He's a skinnier guy in this thing, but
When
he was
this?
what year? 2002. And what happened was he was raised by the Remans underground. We found out that he had a disease, the same one that Captain Picard has with the eye stuff. And so, but it's the question is, does environment change who you are? So this guy grew up a whole different Captain Picard. Okay. He's actually a younger version of him. And environmental, social issues, do they change a person? And can a person change, or is it destiny?
Yeah, well, and I've come
Good
up
topic,
with,
huh?
Well, I've talked about that in my book that I'm writing. Same thing, something.
Are you a plug for your book now? Ooh, this
No,
is
not a
flip
plug
side.
for my book, but just this
And
that
that's okay.
question, nurture or nature. I mean, if you were to take the most evil person and pluck them and put them into a society that's considered compassionate and good, are they going to naturally be evil, or are they going to be good because they've learned that?
Very good question. Yeah.
Great topics, and it dealt with that.
And that's what that is.
And it's interesting. Remember I told you how Picard and Data often married each other? In this, and if you know, let me just jump, but Data had...
Mirrored each other. Not
Married each other. Mirrored.
Okay.
Because of my accent. Anyways.
Like a spider.
Gets better.
Spider.
One of the things we found out about, and if I can jump back, let me do a Data stream real quicker. Data stream.
I got it. Yes.
Anyways, we found out through all the series,
That's like a pee-pee stream. Don't get in it.
it's for your brain.
You'll get wet.
All right. Anyways, here's what happened. So, Rudy, help us. We're getting off track. Anyway,
Rudy can't help. Rudy would be right
I'm the
there.
anchor here. Wait. I'm the one that keeps it together.
Yeah, Rudy-
and help me out here.
Ruby.
Okay.
Rudy would be right here with
All right. Got it. Anyways, here's the deal. One of the things they found out with all the shows is we found out some I'm going to close my eyes so I can think because I'm not looking at you.
Okay, good.
Anyways, in the series, we found out that the Data's history was, oh my gosh. Let me do this and not get myself confused. Do you know who Khan was?
I know he had a raft.
Okay, you know that Captain Kirk. Okay, this is gonna. Okay, here's my brain. Here we go. Let me try to connect this. In the Star Trek series, and just go with me, audience, real quick. In the Star Trek series, we found out that Captain Kirk met Khan in the past. We found out that influenced our future. Well, anyways, Khan came from. Ready for this? Khan was from the 1999, and in 1999, they were a group of genetically enhanced humans. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is gonna get confusing, but here we go. Okay. But because they were causing issues on Earth, they got captured, put on the ship, frozen, whatever. Well, we found out that the person who designed them was Khan Noonien. Well, he was Dr. Dr. Soon.
Oh, Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss did that. Okay.
Dr. Soon was the creator of Data. Okay, what happened was, in the past, this gets really confusing.
Green eggs and Data.
Okay, what happened was we found out in the Star Trek. Oh gosh, this is gonna open a can of worms. In the Star Trek series, okay, the Klingons look like humans, right?
Yeah.
But in the movies, they had ridges on their head. They explain this.
Ruffles have ridges
Here's
too.
what happened. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get this. He's gonna turn me off track when I get it. Okay, what happened was in the series, this is all they tied all this together. That's what Star Trek does, right? You better not throw me off. Anyways,
not to.
And audience, this is I'm closing my eyes so I can't look at him because he gets me off track. But okay, so here's what happened. Dr. Soon was experimenting with trying to develop enhanced humans. He's the one that made Khan. Got it? What happened was he wanted to experiment on a race, so he sent this. The Klingons had ridges in the time of Captain Archer's, which we're going to get to the Enterprise. Okay, haven't talked about this yet, right?
No,
talked about this series. Okay,
No.
it's going to happen.
Dr. Seuss made Khan,
I'm looking at
the
you with my eyes
Mongol,
closed. He created
with ruffles with ridges on his forehead because he's going to make a master race. You could dip his head in
So
in
what
all
happened
kinds of
was
different dips.
he sent this in
Onion
the atmosphere.
dip,
He sent this into the Klingon atmosphere. What happened was you put human DNA into the Klingons. That's why they look like that. They explain it. But it was going to take a generation for it to work out and they'll be normal again. That's how they explain the Klingons. Bam. Anyways,
So the Ruffles were supposed to go away? Or
no,
the
they
Ridges?
originally were there.
I know they were supposed to
They
go
were
away.
gone for a generation. That was the Captain Kirk time. Hello. That's how they explain it. And then it came back in the time of Picard because it had to work out. Basically, what happened was he got locked up for doing this genetic manipulation, this Dr. Soon. And while he's sitting in prison, he goes, I can't do this anymore. Maybe I should create artificial life. So it says, it's going to take me a couple generations. So he passed it on to his son, and his son's the one who designed Data.
And who's
Bam.
his son?
Oh, okay,
Who's his son?
His son is it's another Dr. Soon, right?
Are you sure?
Who was good.
Oh.
And what happened was
So Dr. Soon 1 was like
Bad.
Dr. Evil.
Right. But his son learned the lesson. It took
$1 million.
Right. Oh my gosh, I explained all this, but I'm not done yet. So Data, there were the other creations of Data. There was Lore, who was bad,
Yeah.
and then in this movie, I tied it back in. We found out that there was another one. There's other ones, and he was called. Oh, they called him B4.
Number 2 work
They called him
for?
B4, which Captain Picard says, "Oh, that's rather." Because he had created
Very English.
Well, no, he said he was very creative because he came up with B4 Data, B letter 4, and he's another incarnation Data, but he was like the special version. He was not very smart, and so what happened was
FOUR, not FOR, right?
B and the number 4.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm amazed that I explained that. Anyways, thank
You're
you. God.
amazed that you explained
I'm
that?
explaining. I got that.
You
with
are
you,
a super
with
nerd.
you taunting me.
You are
I still
well,
did.
that's true. I don't know if was that taunting?
Did I somehow jump Enterprise? No.
No,
I
we
did
talked
talk
about Enterprise.
So in Enterprise, okay. And the great thing about Enterprise, if I can back up real quick, is it going to die? How much time?
No, we got 11%. That's like at least another
Well,
hour.
we're going right to the end. Anyways. So, and in the Enterprise, they explain a lot of things with all of them. They tied in a lot of things, affected their timeline. It's pretty amazing. I'm not going to go into all of it. But the thing about it that happened in this movie, Nemesis, was that Data kind of connected, just like Picard was connecting with his clone. Data was connecting with his, and so they had this parallel story going on about learning from yourself. And Data actually, Picard was going to sacrifice his life to stopping his clone, and he froze. Data came and saved Captain Picard and gave his life.
Yeah, but he's not really a person, dude.
But that's not the point. The point is that
He's a machine.
before he left, he kind of was hoping that he could help his little special Data brother and give him all his information and pass on himself. Kind of like how we pass on our genes, right? And when they gave the memorial for Data, which was kind of touching because to them he was a human and he did affect their lives. At the end, Picard was talking to B4, who now lived and Data died, and he was sitting in the chair and he was humming something, and he was humming this last song that Data had sung.
What was it?
The song was hold on.
You don't know.
Oh no, it is. It's coming. It's
blue sky.
no. He was singing. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the song. He totally. But he was singing the song, and it was something about never before. He was singing. Whatever the song he was singing at Riker's wedding. I can't think of it top of my head, but
Nothing but blue sky.
something like that. But it was like saying that maybe Data would live again. I don't know. It's kind of cool. There's a lot of elements in there. It's pretty cool. But again, they have all these things to tie together. Hold on. That
It wasn't.
my friend.
I like big butts.
Was
I like
that
big
was it.
butts and I cannot lie.
Okay. And then
Okay.
it
Wasn't
died.
that. What
Star
Data
Trek died. No.
B4 died? Oh
No, Star Trek was gone.
Yeah, but
it
it's
died.
back.
You lost. You helped me. Okay,
Sorry,
Star Trek. We're gonna take on Star Trek for. Well, let's see. 6 years gone. Nothing. It was gone.
Nothing.
They let it die because this is the series that couldn't die, and it died. Okay, so we know the Star Trek had died. I've got 2 students left. Well, I got 3 now. That's good. They stuck with me so far.
Yeah, but she's an egghead.
Well, she knows everything. It's awesome. And you're awesome. She's always on the job. Anyways, and she doesn't complain back when I...
No.
So now in 2009, one pretty wonderful thing happened.
What?
Star Trek got a reboot.
Yes.
And...
these are some good movies, dude.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Don't tell my notes just erased.
We're on 10%. We're going to be.
Okay, I can do this from
we
memory.
got 10. We got.
I can do this from
plenty of
memory. Here we go. 2009, we got a reboot from J.J. Abrams. He was given the task of bringing back Star Trek. I think did a great job, and I'll tell you why.
I do too.
Why do you think?
It was well done, really well done.
Fantastic.
It had humor, it had action, it had a good storyline. I think it made it cool and a little hipper to be, Star Trek fans are like with Marvel now.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and what's really great is it was so funny because of course my daughter was on board since, but my wife was always like, "What do you like Star Trek?" She says, "I love this show." Now you get it, and we brought in a whole new element of people who love Star Trek, and they got it, and they begin to understand the characters. It's almost like it kind of like lost its.
this was the real reboot.
Oh yeah,
reboot,
and it came back, and it was done real well. And the great thing about this was that the way it was set up. You know what's so funny? How Ron's battery's about to die, and my note just got erased. But guess what? We're gonna go with it. It's all good. And so what happened was we're gonna make this right. 2009, basically, what J.J. Abrams did was they brought in they changed Star Trek, and how they did it was someone from the future jumped in the past. Captain Kirk's father died.
Yeah.
And it changed. It made a whole new Star Trek.
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth, right? That's right. He was the captain for 12 minutes, and he saved.
I had this hammer, and I would throw it and it would return to me.
Nice, another universe. Anyway, so what happened was he is it actually counting down percentage? That's crazy. We're gonna make
good. We got it. Don't worry about it.
So what happened was they actually can create a whole new element, a whole new timeline, bring a lot of great things, refreshed it. Fantastic.
They did refresh it big time.
So now we're gonna jump. Now we have another movie came out, and it just got erased, but you can catch the dates on it. Star Trek, the Into Darkness. And here's what happened. Pretty much, it's the Wrath of Khan.
Number 2, right?
It's almost like a twist and flip on the Wrath of Khan.
Because Eric Bana plays basically the Khan character.
No, that's from Star Trek Beyond. That's the character. That's a different guy. In the Star Trek, Eric Bana did play the guy in 2009. He was a Romulan.
Right?
Yeah, he was unhappy with what Spock did.
Yes.
And so we have old Spock
and new Spock.
And no Spock. So now
and
the actual,
Spock.
new one, and it brought Spock into this universe now, but he can't go back. So I'm glad you brought that up, because now Leonard Nimoy's here with our new Spock by Zachary Quinto.
Anymore. He's gone.
Okay, well, don't jump ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Anyways,
he's dead in real life.
But now he can't go back to a universe. But they did some real cool tie-ins with our. So now we have something called the Kelvin timeline, because the ship was called the Kelvin, and the original Star Trek is now the Prime timeline. Now we have 2 alternate timelines. Pretty amazing. Okay, so now they brought in Star Trek.
Isn't that a heat?
Kelly, it is. Anyways.
Why are you pointing around?
No, I'm pointing because I'm watching the time. I don't want to run out.
You got 9%.
Okay. Anyways.
I thought you were saying the wrong.
No. But I still got 2 movies and 2 Star Trek.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Out of Darkness came out, and they brought in.
Hey, thanks for joining the class at Necology
Khan.
101.
And so it's
You can
interesting
always
is he
find us
brought
on
a whole
Podbean,
different
which you
version
can
of
download
Khan.
for free
And here's
through
what's
the
cool: they
iTunes,
flipped the
Android, and
roles.
Google stores.
They flipped the Captain Kirk and Spock.
We're now
roles.
on Spotify.
So in the Wrath of Khan,
And guess
Spock
what?
saved it.
We're
gave
also
the life.
on
And
YouTube.
this one, Kirk.
Be sure to hit subscribe
And
to
instead
stay
of
up to date
Kirk
on all
going
our new
after
episodes.
Khan, Spock went after
If you want to learn about
whole
Godman
different
Geeks
flip,
and what
whole
we do
different
here,
what
be
if
sure to
this would
follow us
happen.
on Facebook,
Great stuff.
And it
Instagram,
wasn't
and
the
Twitter.
same type of
And you
Khan.
can also check us out on
It
our
was a
blog
much
at
more
GodamondGeeks316.com.
And
Please
because
feel free to email us
because
at
of the timeline
wordbearproductions@gmail.com.
switch, Captain Kirk didn't
We'd love to hear your
find
thoughts,
Khan.
because we are
the
the Knights of
Federation
Zay.
found Khan, and it gave a whole new plot of what would happen if.
Yeah.
Great stuff. And
And this one made more sense because Spock is way stronger than Kirk, especially during Palmfall or whatever the heck
Right,
it was.
right.
Kirk could never stop.
No.
But Spock had a chance.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, it's good. And then he had to, instead of kill him, had to save him, so he actually lived.
Yes.
A lot of great twists, fantastic stuff. Okay, and then Star Trek Beyond came out. Star Trek Beyond was a different director. It was the guy who did, Fast and Furious.
Oh, yeah.
Came in, kind of gave a whole. What's great is they did a loop.
Brian, who's going to drive the car?
They brought things back around. What's great about this show is they opened up all the characters. So you learn a lot more about McCoy and Spock's relationship, and all these, and even Chekhov. One of the things
Who's now
is
dead in real life,
which he
too.
died. Yeah. So so there's some cool twists coming in this thing. But the thing about it is they brought some really fantastic aspects. One of the things they brought in was how music actually can affect the movie. Great stuff with one of the things that Kirk, when he was a kid.
Music makes a huge difference.
Oh, but this
in
is
a
actually
movie.
physically in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did this thing where there's a song, and I'm just going to talk kind of quick, but in the Star Trek Beyond, they show Captain Kirk as a rebellious kid, and he's playing this Sabotage song by Red Hot Chili Peppers. Where they're whatever. What's cool is they find a starship from...
Who's the lead singer for Red Hot Chili Peppers, Ron? Do you know?
Anthony Kiedis.
Yeah, buddy. He didn't know that.
Anyways, tied in. But here's what happens in the
Who
original
plays bass? Yeah.
in the original, I know. Anyways, in the original Star Trek, the one with Enterprise, right? Okay, they were just beginning. There was no Federation yet, but what happened was they brought in a ship called the Franklin, and it sort of was a ship between the kind of wild whatever before the Federation, and it got lost. Well, that crew they got sucked in the Federation. We're not happy with it. They became the nemesis in this one. So it was the frontier pushing back against the Federation. It's almost like they're past. And so great character in this.
Sort of like Cowboys and Indians, so to speak.
Okay, I can get it.
We got 7%.
Okay, it's all right. We're gonna make it. So, anyways, here's what happens. They kind of brought some old school stuff, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers song that he liked as a kid was on board that ship. And that's the song that saved the day, and it kind of brought him back to his past.
How
as a
did it
kid.
save the day?
Because what happened was the guy had these ships that annihilated the Enterprise, destroyed it. They're like bees, and they just chew your ship, right?
Oh.
But they run on a frequency. So what happened was they had to find a frequency that was chaotic,
And it was
the song Sabotage.
Red Hot Chili
And so what
Peppers.
happened was when they played it, it was a rock and roll song, and it tore up, and they projected, and it tore up the whole sequence. And then when the bass had it. It totally annihilated. So the song actually saved the day.
And I had a girlfriend who
Good
swore,
choice.
when we were listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers in the 90s, swore that they were like, no, the Beatles are around forever. They'll never be around forever. And you still hear their
They're
songs.
still
They're
out.
in movies now.
Right.
Yes, which I'm like, wow,
So-
she was way wrong.
Here we go. So here's
didn't
where
believe us. Mm-hmm.
we're coming full circle. 2017, we just have a brand new TV show called Star Trek Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things, and this takes place about 10 years before Kirk. And if you were to drop the timeline, Captain Pike is the Captain Enterprise. Kirk is still in the
Academy.
So we know that things are changing, brings in a whole new dynamics to the ship. This ship is right at the cusp of the war with the Klingons. Great characters, fantastic show. I won't get too much because a lot of people haven't got onto it because CBS has decided to
So
charge.
what you're
for the
saying
show.
is go watch it.
Go watch the
Yeah,
show.
they are charging for it.
They're charging for it, which I think in the long run is they need to fix that. There
That's
are
gonna
some
work against them, I think.
and this is going to tie into why I did this piece in the first place. Okay, what happened is they are allowing some elements in that I may or may not agree about, but it's a great show. But it's changing. The culture's changing, and in this Star Trek episode, because it's on. Yeah, the F word has been used just for one time. So they're pushing the envelope, and there's some things you can forgive, but it's a great show, fantastic show, good characters, great writing. Even John Pepe would like this.
Oh, cool.
So the thing about it is, and they tie in so many good elements of the show and the characters, fantastic stuff. Let me take a breath. So we've got news that there's a Star Trek 4 movie coming out.
And who is
directed
doing
by
it?
J.J. Abrams. But here's the deal, and this is the part where it's on my heart.
J.J.
Okay.
Abrams, I thought that...
Hold on, I'm getting there. And they've decided they want to do an R-rated Star Trek.
Okay.
So one of the things he wants to work with Tarantino,
Yeah.
who he that's his element. And so one of the things I got put on my heart too, and I don't know how much we affect culture, but I wrote a letter to J.J. Abrams, and I want to let him know what he does great, that he's got a great fan base. And my thought is, I think I know why they're going to R-rated.
Why?
Because what it is they're trying to bring back Captain Kirk's father, which is Chris Hemsworth. We know that time got messed up there. My thought is that they're going into the mirror universe, and the mirror universe and the mirror universe is the complete opposite. Ours is very violent, whatever. And I think that's why they're doing it. I could be wrong, but that would make sense because they could get away with a lot more stuff. And my thing is, I really believe that, and this is my kind of plea to J.J. Abrams. And if you're a Star Trek fan, one of the things is my dad, who my brother and I have talked about a long time. He's just getting why we like Star Trek. He didn't like us watch it as kids. He gets it now. My wife gets it now. A lot of people enjoy it. And my thing is, we're going to lose those people if we go R rating. That's my thought. I could be wrong. You could challenge back, but I think they're doing something right. And I think that they really need to consider where they're going with this.
Yeah, I don't know that they need to do that. I mean, I don't know why people... I mean, yes, there's some
Edgy?
things...
I don't know.
There are some things you do need to go R-rated with if you're going to get realistic with things.
Okay.
Oh, you want to say
We
that?
need to wrap up.
Okay.
So the thing about it is, yeah, exactly. So guess what? Please read the piece we're going to put out. It's called Are We Really...
We or you?
I'm putting out. Yeah, and it's basically, are we going to take that journey or something like that? All the piece is still being put on. But I want to tell you, thank you so much for listening today. We did a little different episode. We kind of... We're gonna write down the last of our batteries to do this show, but we're hoping that
yeah,
it's
we
gonna.
are.
It's almost like pirate radio. But I want to tell you, thank you so much for being here today. And enjoy the Star Trek universe. I hope it'll continue doing great stuff.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
And John and I survived this. Thank you so much.
No, you survived me.
Well, that was very comprehensive. I'm glad you're sticking with us for Star Trek. A little different show today, but we got through it. So I'm still Gary.
I'm still John.
And today I'm Ron.
And class?
We're missing Rudy.
I know. But you know what? He got to leave early. He had a field trip.
That's right.
The class is now dismissed.
Hey, thanks for joining a class at Geekology 101. You can always find us on Podbean, which you can download for free through the iTunes, Android, and Google stores. Or we're now on Spotify. And guess what? We're also on YouTube. Be sure to hit subscribe to stay up to date on all our new episodes.
If you want to learn about God Among Geeks and what we do here, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also check us out on our blog at GodAmongGeeks316.com.
And please feel free to email us at boardbearproductions@gmail.com. We love to hear your thoughts because we are the Knights who say, Geek!